Preparing to enter the job market as a young person is difficult for everyone, but for a young neurodivergent individual, the process can be especially tricky. And once you have a job, navigating the trials and tribulations of work is another obstacle. When Katie Hepper graduated from the University of Dayton with a degree in marketing and started her career at an agency in Chicago, she was still processing her recent diagnosis of attention deficit disorder, or ADHD. Katie was diagnosed at age 20 when she was a sophomore. Now she's 27. Here's Katie reflecting on how she felt after receiving the news.
When I was diagnosed with ADHD, I actually immediately felt a lot of shame and stigma. I was an honor student at the time. I had a really high GPA. I was getting really great grades, studying all the time. And I didn't know very much about how ADHD can manifest, and that high performance is a very common way that ADHD or people with ADHD tend to perform.
While Katie was still processing her diagnosis, she started preparing for the end of college and thinking about her future career path.
I did end up going into a career path of marketing that I think attracts a lot of people with ADHD, more of these creative fields, marketing, advertising, filmmaking, things like that. So I wasn't purposefully looking for a job that I thought would align really well with my ADHD, but I did happen into a career that I found extremely interesting, which, you know, if you know really anything about ADHD, a lot of people have a hard time doing work when they aren't very interested in it.
At the time, she didn't consider disclosing her condition to potential employers.
I think I, again, was so much in the throes of this like shame and stigma. I was really worried that people would hear that and immediately say, that's not a good candidate for us. I now know that a lot of companies have a better understanding of neurodiversity and ADHD and things like that.
She ended up securing a public relations job at a marketing agency in Chicago. After a few years, she realized the company was the right fit for her, but the role was not.
All those deadlines and managing so many different expectations, so many different teams and clients, it was hard for me to focus on one thing at a time and do it really well, so I felt like I was doing everything very subpar. This opportunity arose in my company to move into this new department, and it's still a really fast-paced job, but I now work on more projects, and so every day I kind of have large blocks of time where I can sit down, hyper-focus on that one thing, which, you know, sometimes can be seen as a negative of people with ADHD, is hyper-focusing on one topic and really, you know, going down a black hole with that. But I find that it's actually really beneficial in my new job. I'm really interested in everything that I'm learning about, and because I tend to hyper-focus on things that I find interesting, I'm able to really do that job, this new job, well, in a way that I wasn't able to do in PR.
Throughout her public relations and marketing career, Katie said she's been able to speak transparently about her condition.
I feel really comfortable sharing with my colleagues personal anecdotes that might relate to my ADHD. I think it helps build, for me personally, I really like building those authentic relationships at work with the people I'm with every day. But it's also really helpful to me, you know, when I'm having a conversation with a coach and we're talking about tips for my time management or how to prioritize different action items I might have for the day, it's helpful for them to understand where I'm coming from so that it's not like we're trying to fit, you know, a round peg in a square hole. There are a lot of ways that ADHD makes working in the professional world somewhat more difficult, but there are so many things that are a benefit to just the way that people who are neurodiverse think.
A growing number of companies, from Bank of America to Ernst & Young, are tapping into the talent of people whose brains function differently from those who are neurotypical. As more people are diagnosed with neurodiversity, so does the recognition that those potential employees have valuable contributions to make in the workplace. The Office of Disability Employment Policy, part of the Labor Department, offers guidance on how workplaces can best support these employees. For her part, Katie said she's learned a few things about what she wants from her company and how she might handle the process differently in the future.
I would use the interviews as a time to ask them about their environment, because I have realized now how important it is to have a safe space that really prioritizes the well-being of their employees. So I would definitely ask questions, I think, in the interviews like, you know, what is your policy if someone were to have a therapy session in the middle of the day? Do you ever accommodate employees if they tend to work better from 7 to 3 versus 9 to 5? And so I think asking questions like that would be a really big priority for me.
Thanks so much to Katie for sharing her story. I'm Mabel Zhang for A World of Difference.